everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here for another video. Today I'll be taking you guys through another, spiritual speed paint, and I'm really excited to tell you guys what I'm working on and kind of how I'm blending my spirituality and my, art making practice. So my guides have recently, kind of gotten on my ass a bit and have been telling me that by the end of the season there will be an internal wind that kind of builds up within, or something to that effect, and that it'll be like a transformative kind of winds, and they warned me that I'm really going to need to get my discernment specifically, but also my grounding in check during this season to prepare for that transformative wind that's coming. And that sounded a bit ominous, and honestly I do a lot of videos where I talk about discernment and grounding, and I've realized that's because my guides have been trying to let me know that I really need to work on those two things. So that is kind of what I'm attempting to do with my art, as well as just with my own practices throughout the day as well. And they suggested that for a video I make a series of paintings depicting each stage I feel of learning this discernment, this grounding, and preparing myself for these internal transformative winds. I thought it would be fun if I brought you guys through the process, showed you what I'm creating, and the first part of this process that I channeled in meditation. So basically to start, I've just made a black and purple background to start with. I work on it for quite a bit, honestly, because the paint I'm using is really thin. I honestly don't remember the brand, but it's just the paint, the acrylic paint they have at Michael's. When I went, they didn't really have much of a selection, so I just got the paint they have. It's a matte paint, so it doesn't dry shiny, which is really good for a background. The only other thing though is it's pretty thin, so you kind of have to layer it. But either way, I blended those together to kind of make a void space in the background of this piece. It seemed kind of like an important kind of first step, because when you're first doing something, you are kind of in this stasis or this realm of potential. So I did want to have a figure kind of floating in this void space, this womb space, not quite touching the ground, not quite connected to it, but still a powerful kind of goddess figure, which you will see as the video continues. In terms of other products that I'm using, honestly, I just bought some $12 brushes. Don't know the brand. I really don't think it matters. I can probably list them, in the comment section or in the description of this video, But the brushes were just they're not very high quality brushes. They were just whatever I could find that was the cheapest in Michael's. But for other paints, I usually go to Desserts, wherever you are in the world. I don't know if you have a Desserts, but it's kind of like an art store opposed to a craft store like Michael's. So I go there to get my acrylic paints. And these paints, they don't dry matte. They do dry pretty shiny, but for me, I really prefer them when it comes to figures in the forefront. When it comes to the background, I really don't like that shiny paint. I don't like when the background shines too much, so I usually save that paint for, my figure. In terms of the planning for this piece, I really just sat down and I channeled what came through. I made clear what I was going to do, and I asked, from these specific ideas, what do I focus on first, what do I paint first? And then I just let the vision sort of come to me, and I settled with what you'll see very soon, just this woman, this figure, not exactly touching the ground, floating in this kind of void space, as I've said before. And yeah, basically when it comes to choosing my colors and things like that, I will also see that in meditation at times, but a lot of the process happens while I'm painting. So while I'm painting, I still feel like I'm actively channeling. It's just a different kind of channeling. Instead of sitting down and waiting for, I guess, like a vision, I will just kind of stare, you know, at my piece and just kind of let my hands take me. And I'll make sure my soul is present. I might call in my guides there for that space as well, or just make sure I'm like mentally there, I guess, opposed to just trying to get something done quickly. Like I try to make sure that I am in the present when I paint, because it really affects your ability to channel and to create if you're not present. In terms of mixing colors, usually I just kind of like, I have my primary colors, my red, blue, yellow, of course, and I also have a burnt umber that I rarely use, but I have if I need to, a white, a black, and that's mostly it, except for little details. I use those colors and I just mix them to make, I guess, skin colors usually with the red and the yellow. I mix those and I add white to it as well to lighten it up, or more red to darken it. For her skin tone, I felt like she would be more fiery. It was still like skin tone color for the most part, but I had more like straight reds as well for shading with her, because I don't know why, I just felt like this kind of fiery energy would make sense for this composition. It really like popped against the purple and the black of the background, and it was really fun. I really liked it. And in terms of like references, usually I will have references, like just, you know, different bodies, or, you know, if I'm drawing a specific object or hands, I might look at my hand or images of hands. But for this one, I actually didn't have a reference. I just kind of like started plopping paint down and figuring it out as I went. And honestly, man, I'm so happy with how this turned out, considering I didn't do that much planning. I channeled quickly, but I kind of just got down and like got with it. And I'm really happy that it turned out well. Otherwise, I would have been struggling for a video this week. This figure really feels like a goddess to me, like just her essence, her body, and later you'll see me kind of draw like her hair and her headpiece. She just feels like a goddess, and maybe you'll see that once I progress a little more with the painting in this video. But I also feel like she's kind of a representation of that kind of like, I guess, that transformative power that exists within me that can be used for good or bad. Which is why I need to work on my discernment and my grounding. And so in a sense, she does represent me, but more of like that divine feminine, unbridled kind of power that we all have within. In terms of shading, it's the same with everything else I was doing in this video. I just kind of sat down and let my hands take me and see what felt right. I love shading women's bodies. Painting women's bodies is so much fun for me. It's just very intuitive how I feel the light will look, even if it's maybe not photorealistic or accurate in the sense of where the light is coming from. Like, I just know it'll look good and what my senses will enjoy. So there's so many like round shapes in a woman's body that it's so much fun to paint. I would suggest it if you haven't tried it already. And over here now, I'm working on that headpiece. I'm kind of bringing in that like fire, I guess, that I was feeling with the rest of her body, and I guess the energy of the painting. And I'm just working on that now. As I was painting this, I realized I couldn't leave it like exactly the way it is. Because I realized while painting it, I'm like, I love this little headdress / hair that I'm making, but she kind of looks like a troll doll now, so I should probably do something about that. So don't worry, hang with me, we'll fix it. Just give me a moment. But yeah, I'm just kind of making a headdress. I wanted to focus a lot of, like, I guess, her energy and her, I guess, I wanted to add a lot of, I guess, volume to her hair and to the top of her head, because I wanted to show, like, strong maybe psychic abilities or psychic potential, and like a higher connection, or a connection to higher realms being like really prominent and, you know, almost like overwhelming kind of thing for her head. But would have her feet like not really touching the ground and not really connected or grounded, because that's kind of how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm really ungrounded sometimes. Just I do my best, I really do, and I do work on it, but I have a lot of things to work through. So I kind of wanted to represent like this powerful goddess potential existing, you know, within me, but kind of floating away, or kind of floating away basically, because of that lack of discernment and grounding. I also have her kind of like looking in one direction, pointing there, but her arm is kind of floating in another direction, and her headdress is huge and flowing upwards, and her one of her like feet is pointing downwards, just to show the like a kind of distractedness, as I was trying to get at. Like things pulling her in different directions, away from the earth, away from the ground, so keeping her kind of suspended in this like dark void as she kind of deals with these distractions and these things that are maybe pulling her off path, or at least tempting to. I'm just mixing a little more paint here to get some blues in there, and to kind of show that kind of distractedness a bit more, I guess, concretely, a bit more obviously. I add little balls of mostly blue light under her feet, kind of distracting. They're beautiful and they're fun, but they're kind of preventing her from touching the ground with one of her feet. I'm going to add another one right by her hand to show, you know, the distracting quality of shiny new or shiny cool things. And I'm also going to add one above her head as well. I'm not sure if in the other paintings in the series, if they are going to follow the same figure. I don't know that they will. They might follow the same style, but I think this woman, this goddess, is probably specifically meant for this version and this painting. So I already have some ideas for what the next stages are going to be, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit before I get into those, just so I can have time to practice this grounding and this discernment before I try and paint more stages of it. You know, I need more time to like meditate with it, and really work on my grounding, because man, I'm sorry guys, it's hard. I struggle, I do. I decided to make like one of the little balls like near her hand kind of look a bit like Saturn, because I just thought it looked cool. I thought it was fun. I added some gold to make it shiny. It probably won't show up too well on screen, but I'm also adding gold to her headdress and some blue to kind of make it look more like a headdress, like shiny, and I guess etheric isn't really the right word, just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Ornate. I'm also excited. I have other ideas too for different channeled paintings as well. I'm thinking on this channel I'm going to do a lot more channeled paintings moving forward. It's just something that's really fun for me, and then I can knock out two birds with one stone while I do them, which is like getting more paintings done and also getting more videos done. I already have one client in line to have a channeled painting made for her. I'll be making that, posting a speed paint for it, and just talking about the message in it, obviously without revealing this person's identity. But I'm really grateful to get to do this. I'm really excited. I feel like painting and painting this way or channeling this way is really, really helping me with my psychic gifts and just my, clear connection to the divine, especially now that I'm also kind of tying that in to grounding and discernment. It's so much fun. And I love giving readings too, so it's like I get to do both, making art and giving a reading, like a channeled reading at the same time. It's really fun, so let me know if you want me to create a channeled artwork for you. I would love to. Now here's the final product. Hope you guys liked it, and please tune in next week for hopefully another video.